Hello classes, here is your third and final grammar task for this week. It is all about the omissive apostrophe, sometimes called apostrophes for contraction, okay? These are two different ways of saying the same thing. The first thing that I want you to do is have a look at the BBC Bite Size page because it's absolutely brilliant. It's got some really good videos on it and it's got some really clear descriptions as well of how to use contractions. Okay, it also has some quizzes in it at the end that you can play just to make sure that you do remember how to use apostrophes for contractions. Now, we have done this in class before, again, just like our apostrophes for possession. This is recap, making sure that we are 100% fluent in it. Okay, once you've had a go at all of these things, that is fine. Go back to Google Classroom and open up the Google Slides. So the first thing that we are going to do is just have a quick recap, a little summary of the BBC bite-sized videos and quizzes and information that you've just read. Now, firstly, what is the omissive apostrophe? Well, it's the apostrophe that we put when we have two words, such as can and not. When we put them together to make a new word, that word being can't, we take out some letters to make that contraction, that word, and we show that we've taken out some letters by adding an omissive apostrophe. An omissive apostrophe looks exactly the same as an apostrophe for possession, but we need to know that they, even though they look the same, they do different things. The way we remember it's the omissive apostrophe is because it's when something is missing, okay, or it omits something. That's how we're going to remember that. A contraction, like I just said, is when you take two words, and it can't be any two words. There are certain standard contractions in the English language that we use in our speech, and we have to know how to write down. And as we've just discussed and as you've just seen, they work by taking the place of the letters which are removed. So what you are going to do first for your task one is you're going to do a little quiz. So there are numerous ways you can do this. You might want to just listen to me the whole way through this video and then go and do the independent task. You might want to have the video open and be pausing it after each question and go and fill in the answer. Or you might want to just open up the slides yourself and go through them and just read the question and then flick to the independent task and write in the answer. Okay, so any different way that you can do that. But I'm going to go through and read the questions through one by one. And then however you want to do it, you need to fill these answers in for task one. So each time I'm going to read out the sentence. Underlined are two words which need to be contracted. You need to identify which of the four options is the correct contraction, and then go and write that in the correct answer. So let's do this first one together. She is the tallest girl in the class. So is it she apostrophe is, she's with no apostrophe, she apostrophe s, or she's apostrophe? I'll give you a second to think about that. Okay, well done if you identified that it's this one. It's she's, she apostrophe s. So I'll go to the independent task and I'll type in my answer just like that, she's. You don't need to write out the whole sentence, just she's. So I want you to have a go at the others. So that was question one. Here is question two. I think he is out in the garden. Identify which one of those four options is the correct contraction of he is. Each time I'll leave a little pause, and that's when you can pause the video if that is the way that you're doing it. Question three is, we had better go to the shop before it closes. So what is my contraction for we had? On to question number 4. I have bought you your favourite sweets. Which is the correct contraction for I have? If you are struggling with these, it might help to try and just sound them out how they look. I have, I've, I have, or I have. Which of those is a contraction that you recognise that abbreviates, that makes I have shorter? Next question. I did not know where to go. Can you identify the correct contraction for did not? Okay, next question. You'll have to wait until lunch. Can you identify the correct contraction for you will? Last, let us go to the beach. Can you identify the correct contraction for let us? My apologies, there is one more. There is going to be a thunderstorm later. Can you identify the correct contraction for there is? Okay, fantastic. Once you've done that, you'll notice on your independent task that there is some space underneath for task 2. So once you have all of those 8 answers in there, and I've given you the first one as a freebie, you can move on to task 2. Task 2 is to write a short paragraph, just like with your previous grammar lesson, 4 or 5 sentences. This time it needs to contain at least 6 contractions. Now, you could use some of the 6 contractions that you collected during task 1. Or, of course, you could come up with your own, or a mixture of the ones from here and some of the ones you know. Those of you that like a challenge might want to challenge yourself to come up with some ones of your own rather than the ones that we've already seen there. Now, you'll also see I put a second challenge in there. Can you also correctly include some possessive apostrophes as well? And make sure, whether you're doing that or not, that you colour code your answers throughout. So, just let me show you. I will write my first sentence. I might write, they weren't going to be Susie's friend. Just like that, okay? Now, I've included 2 types of apostrophe here. The first one is an apostrophe for contraction, an omissive apostrophe. So I'm going to make that one red. And I'd like you to do the same, please. Highlight all of your omissive apostrophes in red. And any possessive apostrophes you do use, such as this one, please do in blue. Okay? And then try and make it a paragraph which flows, not just a series of sentences. The best ones will have all of those fantastic things that you write using as well, using your sense of humor, using your creativity, your imagination. There is no limit to this. Don't overcomplicate it by putting in too much additional punctuation. It doesn't need brackets, semicolons, inverted commas for speech, anything like that. Just try and write yourself a simple but interesting paragraph, including omissive apostrophes, the words of which I will highlight in red, and possessive apostrophes if you want the challenge, which you can put in blue. Over to you. Goodbye.